Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Welcome back to The Grit, May 23rd, 2025.
My, how time flies.
This may be the most fun show I've ever put together, I've got to say.
Wow, I can't wait. I'm not even gonna get in the way then. I'm here waiting for it.
I mean, it's all listener contributions. Like it's great when surf news happens, gives us something to talk about. But this week there was probably 20 voicemails that came through, 20 emails that came through, 10 of which of each were excellent. So we've got a packed show.
Into the excellent range.
Into the excellent range, I would say. And that's what happens. Things get fine tuned. We get a little bit better at riffing, and they get better at email submissions. Let's also remind people, though, two things: live shows and Patreon. So, live shows coming up in 3 weeks, I think, June 11th in Jacksonville Beach, Florida. And then June 12th, it's a Thursday night in Charleston. I just heard back from Devin Howard yesterday. They're going to contribute a Michael February fish to the Charleston show.
Whoa, that's worth the price, the $25 price of admission alone. I think it's limited, is it not, to about 100 tickets, that
Yeah.
Charleston show?
Yeah.
So get going while the getting's good.
So Cam Richards is going to join us in Charleston, and his father, Kelly Richards. His father's an icon locally. He owns Village Surf Shop, and then also there's a shaping bay in the surf shop, like the olden days. And so he shapes surfboards. That label's called Perfection, and everybody knows him locally. And then Cam, became a pro surfer, travels the world, has now sponsored by Channel Islands. So that's the connection with the Mike Feb fish. So we got footage of Cam riding that board. We'll discuss it on stage. They're actually going to loan us one just to put on display on stage, but the winner will get a custom made for them.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Did we get to the bottom last show of Cam Richards' wild fame, or did we just leave that like a hanging chad?
Left it like a hanging chad to be revisited on stage in Charleston, but he got the invite to Stab High, so he's in Japan today.
Okay, great.
So it'd be even better if he wins Stab High Japan and then joins us on stage. Something to discuss.
But I mean, also better get those tickets now.
Exactly. Yeah, it's going to be a hot commodity. So come on out, join us in Charleston. We've got some local friends there that are going to be joining us. I think you and I might be doing a podcast with the local podcast there.
That's what I heard.
Okay, cool. So that's coming together maybe for next week. And then Jacksonville Beach is Wednesday, June 11th. Justin Quintal is going to be joining us on stage. And for both days, in fact, we got a clothing sponsor, Marshwear, which is a local brand in Charleston that has now gone big mainstream, kind of the surf slash fishing outdoor lifestyle style of brand. But Marshwear contributed a bunch of product that we're going to be able to give away to listeners. And then we have Veyer watches we're going to give away to both nights, and Real Water Sports packed up some gear that we're going to be able to give out. And then there was one other. Oh, NVS Fins is giving us gear.
My goodness gracious.
I know.
Christmas in June.
It's going to be epic. And then, so those two, 11th and 12th, and then Chaz and I are driving back down to Florida for the Florida Surf Film Festival on the weekend, Father's Day weekend. So if you want to join us there Friday night, Saturday night, we'll be there. Matt Warshaw's coming out for that one. Sam George is coming out because he has a film that he's going to be showcasing.
So, are tickets available for the Florida Surf Film Festival?
As far as I know, it's not sold out.
And I can't wait to just shake hands with Sam George.
I'll document it. This will be like Ashton all over again. I think he's going to charm you.
Yeah, he might. He might. I mean, you know what? I'm gonna put my money on he won't try. Uh, he'll give me kind of a dismissive, hi Chaz kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
He told me he reads Beach Grit.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure the fun I've made at Sam George's expense over the last couple of years. Yeah, can't wait to meet him. Can't wait to thank him. Thank him for his service.
If anything, I will remind him that there's no such thing as bad publicity, and that you mentioning his name and writing about him only feeds the algorithm and his awareness in, a younger surf culture that maybe was not privy to his writings prior.
So true.
It is true. Okay, well, come on out. We can't wait to see everybody. And I've posted links to the ticket sales. They're $25 for those two live shows each night. And I've posted them on surfsplendorpodcast.com as well as on Instagram at Surf Splendor through the bio. And then Patreon. Join us on Patreon. Support us. If you're not annoyed with us enough here and you haven't complained about us enough, there's more annoyance over there.
It's like, I mean, that's what people want in this day and age, I feel, is just more. If you can annoy slightly more, then you are slightly better.
I totally agree. So we're going to
Yep.
go hard in the
Yep.
annoyance over there. Um, Also, we were talking about travel. I was recommending travel insurance on various shows whenever it comes up. And then somebody's like, yeah, but have you ever tried to cash it in? Because it's probably like every other insurance policy. Well, a listener chimed in and says, man, I was listening to last week's show. Um, and I did submit a claim to my insurance in Costa Rica. I had stitches to the lip. They took care of it. Also, my wife got a bug in the Philippines and the insurance paid for IV and meds. So it's super important to get travel insurance. Keep work.
There we go.
Boom.
From the ground, a reportage.
Uh, let's talk Margaret River and the box.
Let's do.
The event's been on hold for 2 days now, but a couple of days ago it did run in the box and or at the box and in the box. And I've got a listener call that I would like for you to address.
Hey guys, for the grid, you guys are awesome. Freaking love you guys. Just anonymous for a topic of conversation. Tune in to the show, the WSL, Jake Marshall I wanted to see because he's a San Diego native, and he wasn't going at the box. He just wasn't going, a la Filipe Toledo. And I'm curious what your feelings are on the relative amount of shame you would throw to him versus what you've thrown at Toledo. I have some thoughts that maybe it would be less for various reasons. He doesn't have a lion tattooed on his chest, for example, but love to hear you guys talk about that on your show. Keep it up. Thanks.
All right. You want to take this one?
I mean, I did not watch that heat. Did you?
I did watch it, and I will then go if you're not. If you're
Yeah.
not.
Was he? I mean, the only thing I will add, I did not watch that heat. The thing I will add is I feel, and maybe my memory is not serving well, but I feel I've seen Jake Marshall charge before.
You have.
So, like, that's what I would say about that. I don't know that he about the box, but I've seen him send it.
So the listener's call is still salient, even though it's not accurate. The larger discussion is worth having, but Jake Marshall did go. He had a massive wipeout within 2 minutes of the heat starting, and it was like a highlight reel style of wipeout. Double overhead, leaping off the lip into the flats, like full detonation. Then he got back on the horse and he actually made a clean little barrel, got a 2.4. Then he got another barrel and got a 3.33. So you could see he was trying and he was improving and making adjustments, And so then he went left. The only person I've ever seen on the box go left, but he got so deep and was actually that wave. Obviously, you have to backdoor it and take off on the left and go right because there's no entry. It's just too vertical to drop in on. So he was so deep, in fact, trying to improve what he was doing, that when he stood up and the right really threw and he was like just way too deep, he just navigated left instead and then kicked back out to get back into position. So it's like Jake did go. My memory of Filipe Toledo out there was he was sitting on the shoulder.
Yeah, I mean, Felipe, I don't remember Felipe at the box either, but the fact that Felipe has dropped anchor and not flat out not gone multiple
Yeah,
times at this point is that's the damning part about Felipe. And it's, I feel, he has a pattern, right? Even if Jake didn't go once, that does not a pattern make.
correct. So that's kind of the larger conversation here is uh a lot of these surfers haven't actually surfed at the box before. And so it's understandable that, and it's a world class Rubik's cube, like it's very difficult to figure out. And Kanoa Igarashi as well couldn't figure it out, like was trying and throwing himself, but never made a wave. At least Jake made a couple of waves. Point is, it's very difficult and challenging, but they're rising up to the occasion, if not making waves. So the larger conversation though is in the ELO era and in this modern version of the WSL, the venues have dictated who the world champs become. And so Felipe Toledo has two world champs under, to his credit. That would not necessarily be the case if they were running in waves of consequence. So I feel like there's a false sense of bravado and accomplishment. And look, kudos to him. He won those world titles against everybody else and deserved to win them under the rules of that year. But it's a little bit of a false sense of pride with not acknowledging that he couldn't do necessarily what he wasn't necessarily the best surfer in the world those years. He was just the best surfer at those venues. And so to then get the lion tattoo on the chest and to then, have his dad going on Instagram complaining about the waves of consequence, stuff like that, I feel like is where our kind of distaste comes from.
I mean, how old is Philippe?
I'm going to
Is
guess 30, but I will look it up.
so Philippe, I will say it's up to him how he wants to be remembered or how he wants history
30.
to recall his name. 30 years old in the absolute prime of his surf life, right? I feel for surf, what would you say surf prime is? I'm going to say surf prime because I feel you're too slight at some point, right? When you're
Yep.
early, you need a little density, you need a little muscle mass. So I'm going to say surf competitive surf prime is like 28 to 34.
I agree. That wouldn't have been the case prior, but that is the case now for
Okay.
sure.
So he is middle surf prime, right? If Felipe Toledo cannot win another championship with the now tour ending this year at Cloudbreak, and then next year at Pipe, and then ostensibly Pipe after that. If Felipe Toledo cannot win another title in the next, I'm going to say 4 years, then those two that he won are not real. They're a mirage.
I think they're less impressive, certainly, than upcoming or prior,
I
you
mean,
know?
but I would only say if he's surf prime and the tour is back, uh, the way it always should have been, right? Where
Yeah.
it is like you got to be the best across venues, right?
Yeah.
Not just best little wave dude. Then I will say, I mean, the World Surf League should go back and say, sorry, Philippe, we messed up in those years. We're gonna have to slap an asterisk on those titles because you legit are not that good. You're just not
Well,
that good a surfer.
my reference to his dad was the WSL posted some footage from the box, and his dad got on there and said, I particularly think this wave is horrible to put on such an important event at this stage where many have never surfed and their places are at stake, meaning the cut obviously is coming up. It's not a question that athletes at this level have to be prepared for anything, but in a good sense, and let a more rippable surf show who should stay on tour. And since they insist on this cut line, so he's saying basically the surf should be more rippable. I fully disagree with Ricardo, obviously. They are living in a tiny echo chamber where they think this is the most important style of surfing, ripping, and they are totally incorrect in that it's kind of the least important style of surfing.
I mean, the audacity,
I
the
know.
like the straight up vacuum audacity of the Toledo family to put that out publicly, right? To know, I mean, and maybe they don't even know. That's the thing. I feel that anytime Ricardo opens his mouth, or Felipe for that matter, opens his mouth, uh, you realize what an echo chamber they live in, where they must not be aware even. They blocked out so much noise that they're unaware that the narrative around Felipe Toledo is that he's a big chicken and that like is a weight on his image, right?
Yeah.
But so to come out and say about like it just shows it's like why are you doing that? Why are you throwing little logs onto the Felipe Toledo is a chicken bonfire, Ricardo? How is that helping Felipe? Like
Well,
by coming out and saying people want to see ripping, man, they don't want to see charging.
that's the other larger conversation is that it doesn't help Felipe. And that's
No.
kind of what we have talked about all along was when this pattern started emerging, it was initially, as I remember, at Chopu. He sat off on the shoulder, and then his dad got on Instagram and claimed that he had a shoulder or an elbow injury. Then it happened at Pipeline. Actually, it happened at the box next, and then I think there was a pipe event, and then it kind of all the anticipation built up to going back to Chopu, and the waves are going to be big. And it's like, well, what's Felipe going to do now? and he cowered on the shoulder again. And so now, and then he withdrew from the pipe event the following time. And now we're back at Margaret River. He actually lost the day prior to the box in large Margaret. And he looked very trepidatious out there, I would say. So that is the pattern that we're talking about. And each step of the way, there's been excuses made for him publicly. He makes his own excuses, and then his dad gets on social media and adds to it and makes public excuses as well. And so that's kind of the larger conversation that we've had, which is it's not doing him any favors. It's okay if you're afraid, obviously, but we as kind of fans want our champions to be able to rise and attempt to rise to the occasion, especially with the benefit of water safety being right there, jet skis to rescue, medical teams, all that sort of stuff. Like, just go.
And I mean, and again, doesn't need to be belabored this point, but like the excuses, and then it's the expectation that the excuse should be bought by the public, right? And kind of the what appears to be a real frustration, a real all of you suck. All of you who are throwing little darts at Filipe Toledo, you all suck because we told you what the reason was, and like blah blah blah, right? Like it just seems like it's so checked out. It is so out to lunch, and good on Filipe that he came up in a moneyed era of surfing and that he could, he has done fine probably for the rest of his life, right? Filipe Toledo has.
I
Good
would think
on
so.
him. He can take care of his family, all that stuff. But my goodness, don't hoodwink and like you're a paper lion. You are not worth, your place on the tour. And it just is what it is. But
I think
at this
he's,
point, I want him just to leave, quite frankly.
yeah, well, he made the cut, but he's definitely not. I don't think he's in contention for a top five finish this year. I'll look up the rankings real quickly.
Yeah, and I mean, and look at where Tour comes next to Trestle, so he could obviously win at lowers, and then it goes on to where
Brazil. Oh no,
Brazil.
no, yeah, Brazil and then J-Bay.
Yeah, so he'll do, and he could do fine in all of those places. So who knows? Maybe his little lion heart will roar once more. But yeah, the Filipe, it's a tired story to be honest at this point too. His cowardice and then his family's full blinder protecting his cowardice is like, yeah, okay, great. I guess that's what it is. Like, I think part of this conversation, and not that you want to shame somebody into uh
Submission.
acting differently. But
Yeah.
part of this is that, right? It's like, hey, recognize reality, recognize the truth, and then either admit to what it is, say, yes, I am chicken. I am a coward. I don't like big waves. I will see you with the small stuff, and that's just my style of surfing. It is what it is. Recognize it or improve it. But to keep denying, it just feels like Groundhog's Day. He cowers out or cowards out, and then Ricardo excuses it in some asinine way that makes a mockery of. I mean, did you see like when Ricardo wrote that? Was it just all, oh, you're right, Ricardo comments there, or do people get after Ricardo?
I didn't check.
I didn't check either. And I wonder
Um,
how much bubble they have themselves in.
well, they delete people and flag their account
Yeah.
like they did to you when people do
Yeah.
argue with them. So they definitely try to protect the bubble and the echo chamber. But yeah, to me, it's just I do want to shame him into altering his behavior insofar that I want my world champs to, beat Mother Nature basically,
To
like to
be
show to
to be
show
a
up.
champion. I mean,
Yes,
you're
exactly.
not a champion when you win on technicalities, or you're not a champion when like
Or
when the uh whatever, the fates bend in your favor to make you allow you to be a chicken.
or like I said originally, the tour is structured this way for a limited period of time, and that's when you showed up and blew up. Good for you, but at least acknowledge you wouldn't have won
Yeah.
back when, you know, back when I don't know what was on tour.
Back when
Um,
any wave of consequence like ended the tour.
yeah, exactly. So that like you said, is a tired story. One story that we haven't quite beaten to death yet, but I'll just come back to it, is the Griffin Colapinto cyberbullying last week that we spent a lot of time on. Somebody was DMing us, and you and I both, I believe, and was like, "Hey, it's just inconvenient for Griffin that when he's talking about cyberbullying, his girlfriend is posting photos from prom." And she was, and she was. He sent me the photo. She literally was at prom while
Oh
he's being
no.
cyberbullied.
Oh
And
no.
he's commenting on her prom photos with like hearts and you're so hot and all this kind of stuff. So there's that. And Gabriel
What
Medina also was liking the photos.
what what was there any consensus in the calls coming in on that of like leave Griff alone? It's okay for a 26-year-old to date a 18-year-old high school senior, or were yeah, was there
I,
a general consensus?
I saw the most fodder and commentary on YouTube, and it was pretty evenly split between he is a creep. Oh my God, this is embarrassing. And then the other percentage was you guys are creeps for even talking about it. But nobody was on the side of leave him alone.
Yeah.
Nobody was on the side of it's okay to
Dude,
date high schoolers.
while we're on the Colapinto story though, the whoever DM'd Crosby's journal,
Oh my God.
it made me laugh. I mean,
It,
I read that 4 or 5 times and was laughing each time.
it made me laugh so hard. So I wasn't going to put it in my notes, but here we go. So Crosby Colapinto posted after he made the cut. It was down between him and I forget one other surfer in a heat together. And it was like whoever wins this heat makes the cut, the other one doesn't. Crosby made it. And then he posted his intentions for this event that he had scribbled into a notebook prior to the event and then posted photos of him, getting backslapped after he won that heat and all that in a carousel post. But the first image is the notebook itself and his intentions for Margaret's. To be present with what is in front of me at this moment, to have gratitude for the opportunity I have that brings the best out of myself, and to trust and surrender to the ocean and life. But it was rife with misspellings.
Riddled. And we don't have to get into each misspelling there, but my goodness. I'm gonna say to the not that we have any young listeners, but in case we do, spelling is important. I know we think that, oh, we have spell check and all of this kind of stuff. If you're gonna break the rule, do it on purpose. Don't like the foolishness of massive misspellings that you're publicly posting. And again, of course, people out there right now should be pot calling kettle black all day, every day for my beach grit mangle of the English language. And I stand corrected too. I should do better at making sure all my spellings are correct. But when I'm misspelling stuff on beach grit, 99.9% of the time, it's because it's auto correcting poorly and I'm too lazy to go back. And
That's true. This is handwritten.
yeah, this is a handwritten note.
Well, it is worth noting which words he misspelled. Opportunity. Okay, that's a long word. He misspelled it.
But spelling it opportunity, like
That, gratitude. People get confused with that one. Present. Present. I don't think should be misspelled. um, but yeah, it's funny. Look, you're a pro surfer. Didn't go to the best schools. Probably, maybe didn't go to school. Full stop. Yeah, exactly.
But again, like I will put out there, if there's one thing that you're going to concentrate on, make it be spelling, because you could present as if you have good spelling and grammar, people will assume you're smart, even if you're dumb as a box of rocks.
That's true.
So if you want to front there.
I like it. Well, that was funny. Other big stories coming out of the Margaret River event. Italo Ferreira, who's held the first place position for most of the season, actually gets knocked out for the third time in 3 events by wild cards. He was knocked out at Bells by your boy, Xavier Huxtable, Burley by Julian Wilson, and then Margaret by Jacob Wilcox.
The 3 events ago, I thought, wow, this is going to be a fun ender to the final 5 thing, because Italo's going to have everyone lapped by like 20 times. And so if he gets to cloud break and somehow loses momentum, it'll be a one last shame on the World Surf League for making this happen. Like he seemed like he was going to win basically every event or be top at least quarters every single event. And the wheels fell right off.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, all the way. I mean, wheels just poof.
Yeah, consistency really does matter when you have 10 to 12 events per season. Um, One guy who's kind of the opposite story is Imai Kalani DeVault, who took out local uh, superstar Jack Robinson. And Imai is a guy who he has one great performance a year. Like I watch Imai free surf and I'm like, that's kind of as good as you could surf. He's unbelievable,
Yeah.
and then just cannot put it together in heats. But then once a year, he'll surf in an event that he just surfs out of his skin and takes out guys like Jack Robinson. So maybe it's because he's from Hawaii and this event has big burly waves that are like Hawaii, but he really, really rose to the occasion.
I'm really Imai is still below the cut line as of now, but he's also still in the event, right? He is. I think he's in the quarters.
So he is, but I think he needs to win the event in
Exactly.
order to make the cut. Otherwise, Alejo will get that final spot.
Which nothing against Lejo, but this gives a fun rooting interest for the rest of this event. I feel if Imai can make it through,
Yeah.
if he can win, that'll be pretty inspirational.
And he's well equipped at either the box or Big Margaret or even Small Margaret. So that I would love to see that as well.
Yeah.
Leonardo Fioravanti also looks incredible to me. I would love to see him win. Jordy Smith, the comeback story of Jordy, I think would be an incredible story as well.
Do you reckon this is a comeback story for Jordy, or is it
No,
just
it's not
like,
really.
I mean, the feeling I get about Jordy is at this point, it almost feels inevitable. And then that he'll win the title. Let's just play it out with me here, right? Jordy wins 2025. Uh, these are great uh moments, but I feel he is Aki 99, he is Parko 2000, whatever it was, he
12.
2012. He is one of those great surfers who probably should have won more, but you at least won one, right? And then you're in the pantheon of at least won one, which is it's a nice pantheon to be in. They're all legendary surfers. Almost
Um,
better to be there than elsewhere, to be quite frank.
so Jordy Smith is in the conversation of the greatest surfer who never won a world title.
Yeah.
And so having him win would be kind of a fulfillment of a long overdue prophecy.
Who
But
else is in that like one-time champ? Long-time icon, one-time champ.
well, uh I don't know. I thought you were gonna ask who's in the conversation of best surfers to never win a world title, and I was gonna say Taj Burrow.
Yeah. But
Um,
he's in a different class though. The best surfers to win one. But
Best
I mean,
surfers to win one. I don't know.
Aki Parko, yeah, I got to do some more
Sonny,
research here.
Sonny
Yes,
Garcia.
Sunny won one. Yes, exactly. Aki Parko Sunny. Look at this. I mean, I'm telling you, this is the best room to be in. This is a better room to be in than multiple time champion. Your multiple time champion is Filipe Toledo. Boo.
It's I'm thinking there's got to be some on the women's side too.
Yeah, for sure. Who were a one and done, but one after an illustrious career.
Yeah. I was gonna read to you something. It When I thought of Taj Burrow, it was partially because I just read this magazine article with him from the early 2000s where he was kind of like on the come up, and the whole article is about him banging chicks and it distracting him from winning events. Let me see if I can find it real quickly.
Who wrote it?
It was Chris Morrow interviewing Taj Burrow about,
Wow.
yeah. Yeah, I was like, wow, magazines actually have changed. When
Yeah.
you look at some of these old articles, it's like very similar to now, like the same themes exist. But here it is. Chris Morrow interviewing Taj Burrow in a section called The Hot Seat. He says, Taj, they give him obviously a little introduction on who Taj is, the hottest surfer in the world right now, blah, blah, blah. Taj, we know there are a lot of things that can sidetrack guys on tour, but apparently you're becoming famous for letting ladies throw you for a loop. That was the first question. And Taj says, yeah, they do. They get in my head. Chris says, why? Taj says, well, I'm from a tiny town in Southwest Australia, and there really aren't any girls down here. So now that I've been brought out into the world and I see what they actually look like, well, I get pretty excited. I guess I should try to focus on my job at hand. but sometimes it's pretty tough. And Chris says, so you weren't a lady killer growing up? He goes, oh man, I've never been a lady killer. They're the ones who kill me. I lose it around them. It's a serious weakness. And Chris says, and has that weakness ever cost you a heat? He said, not directly, but it does happen. There's been a few times when I've spotted really cute girls down the beach. I'll walk way down their way, out of my way from the heat just to check them out. Then next thing I know, I'm paddling out in the impact zone, just getting hammered, getting out of rhythm. It's not good. And so Chris says, so being here in Huntington Beach, is this tough for you? He says, oh man, yeah. The girls here really know how to take care of themselves. The US Open is really important event for me. Chris says, you just had your first trip to Vegas last week. That must have been a good trip for a guy from the Outback. He said, yeah, oh my gosh. A few of my friends went there last year. They've been talking it up ever since, so I was dying to go. Plus, I love gambling. That place was just amazing. We drove 4 hours from here. I got so excited. We hit the casinos at State Line, and we hit State Line, and I saw all those casinos. I lost a lot of money, but yeah, it was mostly the most fun I ever had. It was sick. And he said, so the Vegas ladies working for you? And he goes, well, they were working, but not for me. Um, Anywhere else you get sidetracked, pretty much anywhere other than West Oz. What about South Africa? Oh, South Africa is nuts. The girls are young though. And everywhere we go, it just seems they're still the same age. It's pretty wild. Or every time we go back, they seem the same age. It's just wild. Even J Bay has a bunch of cute girls. I love their accents too. And then Chris says, California surfers often nab wives in Brazil. What's your take on that place? Taj says, you're definitely outnumbered there, so it probably makes the top 5 off that alone. Chris says, what about France? Yeah, that's in the top 2 or 3. Seriously sexy girls there. It's crazy. I think that's kind of the extent of it.
I mean, that's amazing. That amount of ink spilled on that is very, very funny.
There's 3 or 4 more questions, but it's kind of just more of the same. Yeah. But I mean, that was always the rumor on why Taj never won a world title.
Do you think when that issue came out, did Taj flip to the hot seat and read and think, wow, that's an accurate reflection of me as at that time in my life?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, I think he did. And I remember reading that and things like it when it did first come out. It didn't seem salacious to me at all.
Yeah. I mean, looking back, it's funny how it does seem more salacious now. And also putting it in print is like, whoa.
Right.
Like, yeah, but
well, I mean, the reality is I've had that exact conversation with my friends of like, which country has the hottest chicks kind of a thing, So it is a conversation that takes place. It's just there's so many more important conversations to have as it relates to surfing or Taj Burrow and his career. You know what I mean? That would like you said, what do you put in print? That's not something that would make it to print now or make my interest now.
How much do you think the whole Diddy thing has completely tarnished the past, basically? Like where reactions like this, right? Like just kind of partying around the world, right below the subtext there, kind of chewing through girls in different locations, right? That's our subtext here.
Yes.
How much does P. Diddy's roving freak-offs, then you look back on that and say, man, Taj was kind of doing a little freak off. Taj was doing his own personal freak off. Oof.
Totally different. Unrelated, I would say. Taj presumably was, banging chicks, let's say. P. Diddy was organizing orgies, drugging people against their will, hiring sex workers to then have sex with the people, like for days on end. And then it's a totally different scenario.
Slightly different.
By the way, while we're on the topic of P. Diddy, I do have a call that I could play for you.
Let's go.
Let's do it. This one is called, in reference to Eric Logan, this one's called the PeePee Touch.
Hello, boys. Original surfboard sleeper from Belido, South Africa again. I'm going to have to chime in on this week's Barrel or Nah about peeing in the shower. You probably don't recall from a previous message, I work in the chemical industry, so I have a more than rudimentary knowledge of chemicals. You guys are 100% correct in terms of peeing in the shower from a sanitary perspective. Spot on. The key is go early. Give the shower time to do its work and flush and clean, and maybe splash it around a bit just to make sure that you flushed it all down. But from a chemical perspective, obviously pee borders on the acidic side of alkalinity scale, and acid materials have both a mild exfoliant effect and an antibacterial effect. Now, we as surfers, we all know our wives, partners, girlfriends, husbands, whoever, complain to us about, we go for a surf, yeah, we maybe take a water or a shower, but at night or around the house, we always are leaving bits of the beach around the house or in the bed. If you pee in the shower, what you're effectively doing, what you need to do is you need to pee on your feet and lower legs, because those are the areas that you've walked on beach sand, picked up little microbacteria and what have you. And so by peeing on yourself early, you are getting rid of all the bacteria and mildly exfoliating your feet too at the same time. Win-win. Obviously, goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. And then once you're finished, and it's warm, it's also nice and warm. Once you're finished, definitely use your soap or your shower gel, anything with a foaming surfactant, and scrub the area clean. You do not want to get into bed smelling like a litter basket. Anyway, that's my end for the week. Off to go get some waves. Woo, keep work.
How about that?
Genius. I thought I vaguely knew that it was somehow good. I didn't know it was that good.
Well, maybe Diddy was doing everybody a solid. Maybe he was helping them sanitize in this freak off party, and he's
a dirty party,
and he's
just providing a little cleanliness.
He's hiring a sex worker to pee in his girlfriend's mouth. Sanitation.
Just to clean, just to make everything clean.
That's the defense that his attorney should work with.
I mean, we should get hired on his defense team real quick.
Yeah, we could be a consultant.
How much would somebody have to pay you to be a consultant on Diddy's defense team?
Ooh, great question. $100,000. I will sully my reputation for a day on the stand. Yeah. And in the moment I'm off the stand, let everybody know I did it for the money.
What would you testify to? Anything? They said, we need you to testify to, I mean, not to lie, not to perjure yourself, but we need you to be an expert on blank.
The sanitation quality of urine. This is the topic I'm an expert on. Okay. Because I've discussed it ad nauseum on a podcast.
Yes.
I've peed on myself 1,000,000 times in the wetsuit, in the water. And then I also admitted to peeing in the shower last week. I am the expert.
Right. Fantastic. $100,000.
$100,000 one day. I'll show up, defend him. He was trying to sanitize his girlfriend's mouth.
Yep.
Any dentists want to weigh in on this one next week? Send in a call. Another person DM'd and said, great listen today. Got some info that might amuse you. And prove that you were both correct with that specific barrel or not. In Norway, where he's from, and where we have serious government, not one that puts citizenship on a reality show, during droughts, they will send text to everyone. The government will send text to all of the citizens telling them to pee in the shower in order to save water.
Phenomenal.
How
Smart.
about that?
I mean, I've always been, and I think we probably talked about this. We probably certainly talked about this on the show. It gets more and more confusing to me to use the bathroom into just a bunch of fresh water.
Yeah. It's a waste.
It seems like an absolute waste. And it seems like, obviously they did it with the flush-free urinals, but it seems like there's got to be a better system for the toilet itself that doesn't need water.
Totally agree. I mean, how many gallons are wasted with each flush?
I mean, and Trump and stuff, like hating the slow flush, wanting the jet flushing it. Like, why? I mean, it gets rid of the stuff. There's got to be, at this point in human social evolution and engineering evolution, there's got to be such a better system of getting rid of waste.
Totally. For anybody who's has the bright idea right now to send us a barrel or not, we've already done bidets. So there's no need for me to get 5 of those emails this week. And we're both barrel for the
Yes.
record. Okay. Any other thoughts on Margaret River? Or are we done with that?
It was an exciting surf contest. Let's give the World
Incredible.
Surf League a pat on the back for this one. Obviously, it's a good surf contest because it got good waves, but both, I love the juxtaposition of main break, a big main break to the box, right?
Yeah.
It's fun to compare, contrast. Obviously, Ricardo Toledo is wrong in everything he's ever done in his entire life, but wrong here too, in that that's what the surf fan wants. Rippable. Like, give me point of difference, right? Who can do this? Who can do this? Great.
Seeing specifically Leonardo Fioravanti dominate his heat at main break when it was massive, and then show up at the box and sort that out too was exactly what you want out of a potential world champ.
Precisely. So good on the World Surf League for running the box. Hope for a banging end to the rest of the contest.
Well, good on them because they did exactly what their job is to do, which was engage the viewer. I watched more of that event and I stayed up well past my bedtime just to watch it because I kept telling myself this is the last heat. I'm going to put my phone down. Or actually, I was going to turn it off the TV, which I did. And then I put it on my phone when I went to bed and then watched 2 additional heats.
Yep.
So that's exactly what they're supposed to do as a business. The other person worth mentioning, since we are a surf podcast, is Baron Mamiya. Baron Mamiya was the highlight of the day when it ran at the box because he was just applying artistry. It wasn't just technically figuring out the difficulties of the wave. He was in sync and having fun with it.
It's always such a pleasure. Like, I feel that's the moment of watching pro surfing where when you're catching a live performance like that in the moment, where it feels really awesome. The guy, when you see somebody elevate from survival to play in crazy, gnarly conditions, I feel John has that element, right? Where John will make survival look artistic, look like fun. And I felt the exact same way. Baron did the exact same thing as John, where other people were, except for Filipe, other people were trying. Baron was playing.
There was a few heats. That might have been heat 4. And in heat 1, Griffin Colapinto got the crazy levitating barrel ride that he made out of and got a 9 for it. But the other heats in between that and Baron, nobody really had it sorted out. There was a couple they got a couple of barrels and made them, but nobody really had it figured out. So to then see what nobody else could unlock and then Baron waltz in and just absolutely play jazz was incredible. And there was a moment after he got like 1 or 2 good ones, then the third one, he does this big kick out where he gets a bunch of air. It just was radical looking. And then I saw photos of it the next day. And while he's in the air, he was throwing a peace sign at the photographer who is down in the channel.
Oh,
so
amazing.
The photographer's looking up and the peace sign is directed right at him, but Baron's kind of looking the other way. And it was like, dude, he's aware of everything, like a situational awareness. And like you said, just playing with it and playing with the photographer too is so rad.
Baron, I think he's number 5 right now in the world, which would mean if it all ended today, he would be on his way to Cloud Break for the final 5. If Baron sneaks up into, I think it's hard to run 5-1, but if Baron sneaks up to 3 and Cloud Break is pumping, Baron would have a absolute legitimate shot at a title.
He would be my favorite at Cloud Break.
I think he's got to be 3 or better though, because I think it's just too much. It's too much to ask.
It's been done before.
It has been done before, but at lower trestles, and by Stephanie Gilmore.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's just too much energy. And to surf that many, you'd have to surf going 5-1. You'd have to surf 6 heats out at Cloud Break, which I don't know if any man, woman, or child would have the stamina for that.
Baron does.
Hopefully.
He's in that sweet spot that you were talking about, 28 to 34. I feel like he's maybe 28-ish.
For sure. But I think he's got to be 3 at the end of the year to have a shot.
Yeah.
Anybody
Which he could be. He could be because we still have Chopu, we have J Bay.
And he's 5 right now, I think.
Yeah, he is. You're right. How do you know so much about the rankings right now? You normally don't.
Uh, I was doing my memory is so bad. I was writing a story about, I can't remember even which one. About the cut, who had gotten
Oh,
cut,
okay.
right? And so I literally had to look at the rankings. I'd go back to the story, write one name, couldn't remember the name below it, have to go back and look at the rankings. So I looked at the rankings like 30 times in a row, and some of it must have accidentally stuck.
Did you do any math?
No, because they were already eliminated at that point. I
Okay.
think the only one who's not is Imai Kalani.
Well, since we are a surf show, George Pitar is out, Liam O'Brien is out, Matt McGillivray is out. Imai, like you said, needs to win this event. Those who made it just narrowly are Seth Moniz, Griffin Colapinto, Connor O'Leary, Joao Chianca, rookie Joel Vaughn, rookie Marco Mignot, rookie Al Cleveland Jr. barely made it, and then Cole Houshman made it.
I do like the regarding the cut, the sort of feeling of drama, of consequence. But when you look at every year at those who don't make it, or I mean, I guess last year, who didn't make it last year, who was kind of a name.
I don't remember.
I mean, that's the thing. Like you look at the cut this year, and it's not like I dislike them as surfers or people. They just they're meaningless. Like I don't know as far as the kind of semi-passive surf fan watcher goes. None of it's not like, I mean, I'm sure Matthew McGillivray's family is bummed, right? And I like to see Matthew McGillivray surf at certain places, but I will not miss him surfing at those places.
I'll tell you what the meaning is. You said it doesn't have meaning. This is what the definition should be. And it is, are they a threat to win the world title this year? Then they should be on tour if they are. And the step below that is, are they a threat to win any event on tour? And if they're not a threat to win any of the one events on tour, what are we doing here?
Yeah. I mean, you're just cannon fodder at that point. Let's talk about the dearly departed real quick. Which of the deceased, uh, if you could give them a lifeline, would you bring back on?
George Pitar.
Me too, George Pitar. I liked some of what I saw from George Pitar this year.
I loved George Pitar, his style. I think he brings a lot to the tour. I think him losing is just a reflection of not being able to like figure out the competitive game at this level. And we've seen this happen with Ethan Ewing, where he actually got disqualified. It might have been before the cut even, but like he just didn't re-qualify one season. Took him a year or two to come back, and then he came back, and now he's in the top five constantly, you know?
Yeah.
So it's happened, and there's other examples in the past too. So I might expect to see George Pitar back, and he's also somebody who could thrive on the Challenger series. Um, but I hate to not acknowledge Liam O'Brien because Liam O'Brien's kind of right there too. He's an incredible surfer. So, but George Pitar is who I would pick.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Follow up. Kook and Curren we put out there with the Mohawk.
We got one, don't we? We have
You're
we have an
right.
intermediate.
Of course you're right.
Yeah.
I knew you're going to be right just because there's too many idiots who can just shave their head into a mohawk. It's not quite as like or divinely ordained as some of the other Kook and Currens are. But yeah, this guy emailed, "Hey lads, Adam from Noosa, Australia, longtime listener, first time emailer. Not sure if a B grade Aussie celebrity who surfs is by definition a kook, but this dude can surf, at least at a lower intermediate level, and is attached. And the attached article shows him sporting a mohawk. This guy, Pete Evans, he's a celebrity chef apparently in Australia,
Yep.
and yeah, he. I looked at the photos, total intermediate, and he's
And
got a
Mohawk.
mohawk. So
Yeah.
not
Sorry.
submitted to Kook and Curren status.
Sorry, Mohawks.
It was worth it. He also said, Adam also went on to say, P.S. When are you guys coming down under? Come share a wave with those of us who live here and the 200 other kooks and van life wannabes who have who we have to surf with every day. Welcome to paradise. Thank you, Adam. I would love to come to Australia. We will get through this US tour and see how the finances work out. And if we can go to Australia one day, that'd be incredible.
It'd be an absolute fun tour. When was the last time you were in Australia?
2019.
Not that long ago.
Need to go back, man. I would love to bring the family and do like a month.
Yeah. Lucky country. Where would you go? Would you start in Sydney and drive up, or would you start in Brisbane or even further north and drive down?
I have no idea. I've done New South Wales and Queensland. I've never done Victoria. I've never done uh, Western Oz.
Great Ocean Road or whatever it's called. Man,
Yeah.
Australia is a great place.
I know that's the thing. I said I'd go for a month. You can't go less than a month. Like there's
No.
just way too much to see.
Did the tourism board, Margaret River Tourism Board sponsorship of a surf contest make you want to go to Margaret River? Wine taste,
Always.
eat, gallivant in the beautiful country.
Yes. Every time there's an event there, it's like the one that entices me more than any other event on tour.
It's a great tourism board buy, I will say, and the only one that works that I've seen the World Surf League do. Like the El Salvador one, I was like, yeah, cool. Like, I mean, if I was going to go to El Salvador, I would go, but World Surf League doesn't make it look better or worse than I think. It doesn't. The World Surf League showcasing El Salvador doesn't make me think better. Pack my bags. World Surf League showcasing Margaret River, it makes you think pack my bags.
Well, because the reason you go to El Salvador is to surf. You look at Margaret River and they're never turning, once they're advertising Margaret River, they turn the cameras away from the beach and show you everything else that it has to offer, you know.
But man, the color of that water, like I've been to Margaret River. I've been all around there. I think it was 2 weeks or something on that side. And it is so shockingly beautiful. Everything from like the color of the sand, like every little bit of it is beautiful. The color of the water, how the trees grow, the way the wind blows, like every bit of it is just insanely beautiful.
Yeah, really, really incredible place. Well, guess what? We have a Veyer Tools to Live By from a longtime contributor. We've got
Dude,
our
yes.
Veyers right here.
On, always, perpetually.
So we were watching 100 Foot Wave last night. New episode
Mhm.
just aired, and it was all about the Eddie. It was the episode featuring, or the Eddie that Luke Shepherdson won.
Mm, good one.
And
Classic.
yeah, and like they have all this behind the scenes footage we've never seen before. It's an incredible episode. And I was so proud because I'm like, Luke Shepherdson now is sponsored by Veyer Watches. He wasn't back then, but he's been on the team for a couple of months now. I'm proud to be aligned with an organization that supports not only the whole not only Luke, but the entire North Shore Lifeguard Association. So if you want to get one, you could save 15%. VeyerWatches.com/surf splendor.
Father's Day's coming up, man.
Oh.
Nothing beats a watch on Father's Day. Get your father a Veyer watch.
Great call, dude.
Mhm.
Okay, DLS and Chaz, I've got a quick little story for you that may have been addressed in episodes prior to my exposure to the grit. For the record, this was never addressed and it's long overdue. He goes on to say, I was surfing at my local beach break this past weekend and there were A-frames everywhere. I caught a sweet left that was slightly bigger and more bowly than the right that was breaking towards me. So these two waves are going to converge. He's on the sweet, larger, more bowly left. And on that right, breaking towards me, was another surfer that was Val-esque. He was on a bigger board, but was able to pump down the line, and our paths were set to collide at the end section where both peaks would eventually meet. The other surfer recognized that I had more speed and a better line at smacking the end section, so he straightened out while I hit the end section. Thank you for your sacrifice. With that, my question is there an established rule to follow when two surfers converge in an open lineup? Can we optimize this rule to avoid the mind-numbing calculus that one must make when addressing not only the wave, but a fellow surfer's ability? Work. James from San Diego.
James, I've got you covered, my friend.
Wow. Okay.
Thanks for calling in. Thanks
Yeah.
for calling in with, I can't believe we have not discussed this yet.
I can't.
Longer, but this is like, should have been discussed almost episode 2 or 3.
Shocking.
Stunning. Happens regularly. I'm going to say it doesn't happen every session, doesn't happen even every week, but I'm going to say this happens to every surfer once or twice a month.
Look, it happens when it's exactly what he said, whether it's a peaky day. You know, there's peaks everywhere and it's kind of like it's spread out, like guys are spread out everywhere. This is going to happen.
So I'm going to say, don't overthink it. What dictates what you are going to do on that wave? You can't change a tiger cannot change its stripes, nor a cheetah its spots. Is it a leopard its spots? Do leopards have spots? No, leopards are black.
Cheetahs do.
Yeah, cheetahs. Okay. Anyway, what do you do when you pull up to a four-way stop and everybody kind of arrives together? Are you a go guy or are you a wait guy? If you're a wait guy, that's going to be your instinct and you're going to mess it up if you're going to try to charge through. Like you're going against your nature, right? Anytime you go against your nature, that's when you make a wrong move. That's when you, I'm going to stay on down the line, but and then you definitely are heading for a collision there. If you're a four-way stop guy and I'm a go guy, don't even just keep mowing straight ahead. Make that other guy be a stop guy or a wait guy. That's what dictates. It's your native natural instinct at a four-way stop. Because you, again, do not go against nature. Do not think about, I'm on the better wave, he's on the, none of that calculus is going to work. If your instinct is to be, and I'm not saying timid, your instinct is to be polite, then you are going to continue to be polite. If your instinct is to be aggressive, then that's your instinct already. Just play through.
Okay. I've got a variation on what you're talking about, but I would like to address the four-way stop first.
Yeah.
We have addressed this over the years, and so I've come to a very specific methodology when I'm showing up at that four-way stop. When you see the other car and you're kind of both approaching at the same pace and you're probably going to land at the same time, I just stop short. I just jam the brakes. I'm 10
and then
feet.
Go.
Yeah, I'm 10 feet short of the line. And rather than waiting 4 seconds for us to both slow to a crawl and then stop, I'm just stopping 10 feet short, which means I stopped first, my turn to go. Boom, and then I go. Now, in a secondary scenario where we do end up converging and stopping at the same time, or I can tell that they stopped first, but they're the timid person that you're talking about.
You just go.
And I'm like, no, I point. Forget about a wave, because you wave and then they wave back. No more waving. You stop first. So it's like, I see that they're stopped first and they're like looking at me, waiting to see what I'm going to do as I'm slowing to a stop. I just go, boom, you go. And then they go.
Well, here we go. I guess this could be applied to the wave as well. If you're on, say, the worst section, but you're an aggressive guy, but you see this guy coming down the line who's, is timid, but is on the better section, point at him and bounce out.
Wave him off even. Just like,
or I mean, I'm saying if you're on, because in this case, you're saying that they arrived first.
Yes,
and so you're doing the right thing so if you're on, say you're on the right and this person's on the left. Say the left is sweet and your right is mushy and it's crappy, but you also know that this person's timid. You point at them and then you kick out. But
I have done that.
Be the aggressor.
I've actually done that. I didn't think about it until you said it, but I've totally done that where I can see like, I shouldn't have even gone on this wave.
Yeah.
So I'll even like give them like, hey, go, and then just kick out. But the advice that I'm going to apply here for the peaky day is, he's right in that you do run a calculus of whose wave is bigger, who's the better surfer, who's got the better angle of approach or whatever. The problem with that is everybody has a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's impossible. Like that Kook thinks that he's ripping. And so he's going to try to challenge me on this section, sort of a thing.
And or maybe he said he was on a bigger board, right? So maybe what the best wave for him is like, even if he's not a Kook, right? Maybe I'm about to walk the nose on this thing. I got a peak little, perfect wave to go and hang my toes off the nose on this wave, right? Correct. that calculus depends on the board you're on as well.
So what I can advise is there's no way to know what everybody else is thinking and the calculus that they're running, right? So I have seen too many dumb pedestrians walking off the curb to go through a crosswalk, looking down at their phone, and they don't look over their left shoulder to see if a car is going to make a right-hand turn and kill them. And so the analogy here is that, yes, the car should apply proper rules and not kill the pedestrian. But you're a dumbass if you're putting your life in the hands of another driver without looking. So what you need to do here as a surfer, this should be 101, like top 10 commandments of surfing kind of a thing. Be vigilant always. So when I am in that peaky day situation, as I'm paddling into a wave, I am assessing who's down the beach, what other waves are around, what potential lines of, havoc is going to be in my way. And so I'm making and by the way, I've already been doing that throughout the session. So I know most often if I'm paddling into that left and there's another guy on the right over there, I already have assessed their level of ability prior in the session, and then I'm assessing the other details, which is my wave bigger? Is their wave bigger? What's all of that stuff? And so you can't expect anybody else to be running that calculus or to be able to running the same calculus as you, but the being vigilant should just be part of your entire surf experience. And I will get up and riding and I will be assessing, oh, that guy's ripping way harder than I am. I'm just going to kick out of this thing. Like, I don't want to get in his way. Or they're a kook and I'm going to kind of try to apply some pressure here and hopefully they kick out. Some of the time it's like they don't have the ability to straighten out. They don't have the ability to kick out. So again, I'm a pedestrian who needs to take care of myself. I'm kicking out here, And so I hate to say, like, it comes down to the individual scenario and you need to apply the calculus, but you do, because that's part of being a surfer, and that critical kind of sophisticated calculus serves you really well. And so you should be actually constantly running it because it refines the process.
Absolutely agree. And the only thing, I will just say, all things equal though, if you're naturally aggressive, continue to be aggressive and go. Like, this is all things equal here. This is two more or less equal surfers. If you're naturally timid, no problem. Be timid, be polite, pop out, let the, like, that's your nature. Don't fight your nature on this one.
Totally. And my nature is that. My nature is, I got this wave. Like, I want this wave to myself, but I also recognize that kook is going to kick his board and it's going to hit me. So I need to take care of myself first and foremost and kick out of this thing,
Yep.
So, but yeah, that's something that does happen, like you said, once a month. And so there should be kind of a general rule.
I'm trying to think of the last, it happened to me very recently. Like, rarely, of all the surf anger and surf rage and surf screaming matches, etc., and surf water splashings I've gotten into, I don't think I've ever gotten into one on the because somebody was crapping down the line into my good wave and we impacted.
It's really surprising. I haven't either. It's really surprising how that calculus actually does work almost all the time. Like, the two people in that scenario do sort it out.
Yeah, and you're exactly right though in pinpointing that oftentimes that person is such a kook, there's nothing else they can do. Right. So, and that's not like, okay, they're a kook, they should get out. Nope, can't.
But it's incumbent upon you to be vigilant enough to assess that and protect oneself.
Yep. Unless you want to go to the hospital, unless you're into it.
But there is also no greater feeling than when they give way and then you do crack the section to the best of your abilities and kind of flare up right in front of them. That's a great feeling.
But I feel everybody feels good about that, right? Because the person who gave way thinks I did the right thing. This, like, if they gave way and you bogged rail and fell, then it'd be like, oh man,
I'd paddle the other way. Just like, can't confront that person again. Yeah. It's like if it's your turn for a set and you miss the wave or you blow it, you just tail between your legs, keep your eyes down. You. Yeah.
Get out.
Okay. Well, remember last week, the new species of Val?
Yes.
The guy doing box jumps and never paddling?
Yes.
So for listeners who missed last week's episode, long story about a surfer who witnessed, I should say, another surfer who never once laid on his board or paddled on his board. He walked his surfboard out into chest deep water and then just jumped into a wave and jumped onto the board, never touching his chest to his board. And we had so many questions. So Brendan replied back and he said, DLS and Chaz, a few quick points of clarification. Body mechanics / takeoff analysis. I get it. Skepticism. I understand. Honestly, I spent more time than I'd like to admit trying to make sense of this unorthodox takeoff and explaining it to anyone who will listen. If I hadn't seen it myself, I wouldn't believe it either. I'm still struggling to describe it accurately. Here's some key things to keep in mind. Water depth. He was standing in water that was probably upper stomach to lower chest deep. But as the wave approached, the water sucked out and realistically was more waist deep at the moment of launch.
Okay, that's helpful.
It is, yeah. It's hard to imagine him jumping into a box
from
jump
chest
from
Yeah.
chest deep, but
Yeah.
waist deep, totally doable.
Yep.
Board angle and buoyancy. The board was buoyant enough, and he'd angle it down the line from the start. He'd often launch just as the section was beginning to break. So he had this thing perfectly timed. The
Yeah.
foamy could take the whitewash and still allow him to get out in front of it once he was standing.
Okay.
Body mechanics analogy. The best comparison I can give. Imagine standing in front of a slightly higher than waist high wall, placing both hands on top and jumping up, pushing down through your arms while keeping your hands planted until your legs swing over. He was doing just that, using the board almost like a pommel horse. It helped that the board was already starting to drop down the face of the wave, creating more room for his legs to clear. That makes
Okay, this
sense.
makes and a lot of sense too. Like in my mind, initially, I had him like hands somewhere else, not on the board. I had him just jumping and landing. The pushing off makes a lot more sense.
I'm right now putting my hands on my desk and I can imagine it's the same height. I could easily jump onto my desk,
Yeah,
you know? So,
totally. Even
okay.
even in waist deep water, you could.
Yeah. Okay. So he goes on to say, I honestly considered trying to recreate myself in total privacy for academic purposes. Um, I almost just did on my desk. He says his attitude, which was something you asked about, completely indifferent, no signs of embarrassment. He had the vibe of someone at the gym with headphones on, in their own world, doing their own thing. Just happened to be near other people. Work, Brendan.
Brandon, thank you so much. This all makes a lot more sense now. I have a fuzzy but now visible picture of this scene.
I never doubted him. I was just
No,
saying, I just
I just couldn't
verbalized.
picture it. I
Yeah,
couldn't
exactly.
picture. I pictured this muscle man like jumping, squatting and jumping without, yeah, all of it was weird. Now I get it.
Yep. Now I get it. Okay. How about some
Thanks,
don't
buddy.
say gay?
Oh, yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while. D and C. I just listened to the grit where you dissected Griffin Colapinto's cyberbullying problem. At one point, you struggled to find the right word to describe Griff's intellectual capacity without using the R word. Well, I have a potential tool for you guys. My day job is teacher, and this year I have a class of 6 and 7 year olds that are a bunch of absolute savages. I overheard one describe his classmate, who back in the day absolutely would have been labeled as R. He described him as, quote, light brained in an exchange that went something like this. Yeah, but you don't want to listen to him. He's light brained. I loved it. And it's instantly become a part of my own vocabulary, especially when driving or surfing. So maybe this is a tool we need when describing somebody a bit like Griffin Colapinto. I will bow, though, to Chaz's expertise as a linguist on this one. Work.
I absolutely love it. Light brained is perfect because it's not a slur. It's never been used as a slur against a group of people, right? Like why we don't say, and we've discussed this ad nauseum, why we don't say retard on this show is because of its not because of what it means in and of itself. Did we rehab it or no?
We had a discussion about it, but I don't
Yeah.
think we ever brought it back.
The problem is it's just been used historically to define groups of people, right? And
Yeah.
broad groups of people, from autistic people to people with Down syndrome to, people with severe developmental issues. All of this, that one word has been used to describe them. And so that is not cool. Light brained, I feel, has no uh there's no like what genetic or anything issue with it. It's just some people are and some people aren't.
It's genius.
It's absolutely genius. I
I'm
love
using
it.
it. I'm using it.
And to me, it perfectly defines a Griffin. I don't know Griffin or Crosby Colapinto for that matter, but the way they talk and the way they spell, uh, it that's what I feel is light brained.
Maybe I'll regret saying this, but
I don't think you will.
their exuberant positivity makes me feel that way.
Sure. I mean, but more than that, right? And I love it. It's
It is more than that, but that is something.
sure, but here's the thing. I think when you feel kind of like, oh, it's heartwarming, right? That's the way I feel about the Colapintos. Uh, that also I think is an indication of a light brain. But like it's also the light brainness here is the journaling and what they're doing and the way they're doing it is they have discovered how old's Griff again? 26. How old's Crosby? Is Crosby older or younger than Griff?
Younger.
A lot
Younger.
younger?
I don't know. Let's just say 23 while I look it up.
Okay. Uh, but so
I've
as a
looked up
26
three
year old,
people's ages today.
as a 26-year-old and a 24-year-old,
23.
23-year-old, they discovered a book, right?
Right.
The power of whatever it is. What is the book? Like power of positive thinking or whatever it is. Like they discovered a book and they're recreating it. Like it's the excitement of finding uh a comic, a G.I. Joe comic as a 8-year-old and then running to your room and drawing a comic, your own comic that's basically the G.I. Joe comic. You were
It's
just
called
so inspired and excited, right?
It's called GI Frank.
Yeah, exactly. That's what, and as an 8-year-old, you do have
But
a light brain, right?
but you misspell Frank.
Yeah, but that's what it is. It's this
It's a
exuberance of
perfect
discovery.
analogy. Yeah,
Is
it is.
all the light brainness. It's great. And I don't think light brain necessarily has to be a negative, a pejorative.
No,
I think
I mean it is what it is, but
it
yeah,
is
you're
what it is.
right.
People are
There's
some people are light brained.
exactly, and it's not a pejorative because there is charm in it, like it's
Sure.
some people
You
are this
feel
way, but they're also great people.
when I read Crosby Colapinto's journal entry, I felt very much laughing in my heart, but I also felt warmth toward him, right?
Yeah.
Of thinking he's doing his best here. Anytime you start thinking he's doing his best or she's doing her best about someone, I feel that's an indication of a light brain on the other end.
Yep. I kind
Like
of feel the same way.
you can't help but read that thing. And I didn't like if it was something, let's just randomly pick Filipe Toledo. If it was something Filipe Toledo was writing, like excuses about whatever, I'd be like, that's going straight up on Beach Grit, mocking that. When I read Colapinto's letter to himself, I didn't want to mock it. I was like, oh, well, buddy. Right?
And you achieved your dreams too. Good on you.
Yeah,
I feel like he has those inspirational posters in his room
for sure. For
with
sure.
the
But
black border, and it just says integrity on the bottom, and it's like a wolf howling at the moon or something.
totally. But it makes me think, oh, little guy, you go get
Yeah.
it. You go
Yeah.
chase those dreams.
Set that intention.
Yeah.
Um, well, that wasn't our real Don't Say Gay. That was just kind of a follow-up Don't Say Gay. A real one did come in as a submission this week, and that is anal.
Mm,
This guy is anal retentive.
mm.
He's so anal about his work. She's so anal about cleaning. So, using the word anal to refer to people's fastidiousness.
I'm gonna say let's go ahead and cancel it
Funny,
because
me too.
but like and this is goes I mean I feel the more we do don't say gay the principles of what is allowed or what is not allowed are becoming very clear.
Totally.
It's a gross image, right? We don't
Yes.
need it's same with sack up or this like we don't need the image, right? A. B, if I'm not mistaken, and I may be mistaken, but I'm probably not. I think it's discredited psychoanalysis stuff, right? Like whatever the anal retentive thing, I think came from Freud's analysis of people who blah, 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 blah. And maybe his general analysis on a certain personality type was right. But I can't even remember. But applying
Uh,
the like clenching your butt or whatever to it is weird.
so,
Not pooping. Is that what it is?
yeah, it's toddler age kids. I don't know whether or not it was discredited, but what it originally was toddler age kids, who don't have control of their lives because their parents are constantly telling them what to do. That is something that they can control. And so they
Okay.
will grit their teeth and be like, I'm not, I don't want to clean my room. And then the parents it's just an extension of that. It's like, well, now I'm not going to go potty. I'm just going to hold it in. And so they become anal retentive.
So maybe it has not been discredited. Maybe the science is still sound in terms of though describing fastidious people that way. A, it's gross. B, we can do better.
I agree. So I landed on the exact same answer as you. Like, it is directly related to poop. It's not just like, oh, anal is now being used this entirely different way, that has nothing to do with it. No, it's specifically related to a child clenching their butt to hold their poop in. And
Yeah,
now they're an adult and they need to control every little detail of their life still because they were that way when they were 3 years old. And we're going to use a word that references their butt
holding
from when they
poop.
were young, which
Don't
is
need
just
it.
inappropriate in every way.
Don't
So,
need it.
yeah,
Don't even need it for the kid. Don't even need it for the kid who's maybe that kid wouldn't be actually holding his poop if he wasn't being described, if the whole situation wasn't being described as anal retentive.
I think you could just call him retentive.
Yeah. Hey, look at the retentive kid.
You don't need to define which thing he is retaining, right? He's just a retentive kid.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, this is wow, solved it instantly. Keeping anal retentive, just erasing the anal part. Don't need it. All we need there is the retentive part. Look at
We were
that. And
using it was two words and we were using the wrong word.
exactly. And also, uh, fudging into our previous conversation, retentive has the same kind of nice feeling that you want when you used to say retard. When you could call somebody a retentive, it has the same like flow as calling somebody a retard. So we get to keep the feeling of retard, apply it to a new group of people with a pejorative that's just not gross anymore. Oh
Agreed.
man, don't hang out with Susie. She is such a retentive.
Dude, if you left a wine mark on her coffee table, whew, Susie's gonna lose it. She's so retentive. She'll be right there with
But
the Clorox wipes cleaning it up.
this is perfect because anal retentive. Nobody ever uses anal retentive in a positive way. Like, oh, you want Joe on the team at work because he's anal retentive. Like
Exactly.
it'll make sure that the stuff gets done right.
Right.
It's never it's the fastidious person, but it's not fastidious in a good way, right? And
Yeah.
so throwing down it's our new R word is retentive.
Interestingly, the opposite, also not great. If you
Yeah,
just let it all go,
yeah.
if your diarrhea, if the opposite is, I have no control,
I have zero. I don't care where, when, or why. I'm letting it out.
zero retention, not great. Full retention, not great.
Not great.
You want to be moderate, fair to midland retention is
Yeah,
what you want.
you want to be fairly retentive.
Moderately retentive is
Yeah,
the way to be
great.
in all social settings and work environments. Okay, well, great. I'm glad we got to the bottom of that. Let's see if Crosby can spell the word retention on his next post.
I highly doubt it.
It'll be fun. It'll be a fun new game. And then we should go to commercial break because not only do we have Barrel or Not and some other things to discuss, but we have a bonus show that we need to do still today. So,
You.
all right, we are back from commercial break. How about we lead in to this section of the show with a call? I told you we got lots of listener calls this week.
David Lee, Chaz, it's Nick Bravante calling in from Silver Beach, New Jersey. Just tuning into last week's episode of the Grit discussion, where I would agree that calling out doppelgangers for males is a barrel, but calling out doppelgangers for females is a absolute no-no tool to live by. No matter what, you're going to be insulting this woman in your life. Either she is more attractive than the person that you think they look like, or she's less attractive than the person that you think they look like. And no matter what, you're going to insult her. So don't do it to the girls. Have fun with the guys. And, yeah, let it rip.
What do you think?
Absolutely true. I was trying to think in my mind of ever even telling a woman she looks like ... It's okay to do it to kids, maybe. trying to think of, oh, your kid looks like it's okay to do it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, whatever.
I disagree. I've told women they look like somebody, and I don't think it was insulting at all, and I don't think they were insulted. My wife gets it, and it's complimentary.
Who does she get?
She gets Angelina Jolie.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
It's a phenomenal one.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe it just doesn't. I'm just trying to, it just feels like it doesn't happen as much with women, but maybe like I'm just trying to think
I
of,
think you need to tread lightly. Like if the thought comes into your mind, and let's say the comparison is Sarah Silverman,
yeah,
that's a risky one. Like I think Sarah Silverman's beautiful, but the woman that you're saying it to might have strong opinions about Sarah Silverman. She has a very distinct look, and she's also a comic with a strong opinion. So maybe she hates her politics or something like that. So you just need to tread lightly.
you're exactly right. You don't need to tread lightly at all with dudes because getting
Right.
called an ugly dude, if that dude is famous or talented, that's totally fine, right? Like I'm happy to be Steve Buscemi. Uh Great actor. Speaking of, when was the last time you watched Je t'aime Paris?
Long time, 15 years.
It's totally worth a revisit. Revisited
It's all the
accidentally
little
last night.
vignettes, right?
It's the vignettes, but all by different directors, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
like Ethan and Joel Cohen direct one, Gus Van Sant directs one,
Okay.
and they're just all vignettes in Paris by different directors. But the
They did they did one
Ethan
in
and
New York. They did a
yeah, they
couple
did.
different, and they were all terrible.
Yeah, the Je t'aime Paris, I think, must have been the first one because they
Yeah, it was.
really it is the murder's row of directors. They have every great director in there.
Okay.
Uh, but anyhow, the Ethan and Joel Cohen one, of course, starred Steve Buscemi, however you say it. All to say, like the range, if somebody is talented, unless you're telling a man his, there's no, you can't go wrong with a doppelganger.
Yeah.
With women, you're exactly right. There, you tread lightly. You can go wrong.
The other thing that you might want to apply if you're ever doing it with a woman is a young version of.
Yeah,
So if you say, you look like Elizabeth Hurley, that sounds like a compliment. Just add the word young just to play it safe.
you look
Because
like a young Elizabeth Hurley.
because I don't know, what is Elizabeth Hurley? I don't want to look up another person's age. 56, let's say.
Yeah.
And what if the woman that you're talking to is 52? It's still a
Well,
compliment, but in her mind, she's like, I don't look like an older woman, you know?
exactly. I tread lightly.
Tread lightly. Okay. What else did I have? Oh, somebody did send in Barrel and Off from Leicester. Pro surfers taking too long to disclose their online abuse they've been subject to as the reason for their poor performance, thereby knocking us out of Survival League. Thanks, Griff. Cheers, Leicester.
Griff, really confident. It's so, but Griff, again, I feel no ill will toward Griff because he's light brained. I just feel, oh, buddy.
Now you can't fault him
Nope.
anymore. Yeah,
Nope.
it is what it is. Okay, let's go into Barrel or Not to close out the show. Telling your kids snitches get stitches. And this is coming from me. I have witnessed, now that I have a toddler, we're in mixed company with other parents with their kids. And I've seen this now a number of times where the kids, sometimes their siblings, get into some sort of a spat. One of them starts getting upset. They come over to mom and dad and they go, hey, so and so took my toy. And the parents go handle it. Like, don't come and get me involved. Snitches get stitches. And then I think to myself, I don't know if I want my kid living by that code.
I hear you. I'm gonna say absolute barrel in terms of, and I'm not saying that there's a time and a place to snitch, right? I feel that the snitches, okay, the pendulum swung so far over
Okay.
in our day and age to helicopter parenting, safety. Let me, you tell mommy or daddy, and mommy or daddy's going to solve this problem for you, right? Like
Correct.
it flew way over there. It's come way back now to the stitches get snitches, which ideally I like better, but there is all of a sudden now kid's not going to be snitching on the creepy teacher who's asking him or her into, to stay after class for some extra help or whatever. There is a time and a place to tell, or to inform others about, right? Like if all those people in Diddy's circle snitched years ago, none of this would have ever happened, right? There's
Yeah.
a definite time and a place to raise your voice. And the snitches get stitches is too broad, and probably shouldn't. I mean, I use it all the time, or did, don't anymore. But Tattletales Go Up the Mainsail was the other good one. But the uh yeah, I think the pendulum has swung too far back, and we need to have a informative discussion with our children about when is the right time to raise your voice, right? When is the right time to use your voice? When is the right time to sort something out yourself?
Completely agree. I think that's where I took umbrage was in this circle of trust that is our family and these codes of conduct that we live by. I don't need to apply a mobster mentality or a jailhouse mentality to our way of thinking. We
Yeah.
have critical thought and rationality and ways to use our words to communicate and discuss. And so the reason why the kid is now coming to me with this is we said don't, there's a rule that maybe is don't take somebody else's toy without asking. The sibling then broke that rule. Now the original sibling is coming to me because I'm the authority figure to remind the other sibling what the rule is. That's fair. The sibling who got stolen from is operating within the rules that I've laid out, and I am the authority. They respect me as the authority, and so it would be unfair for me to, in that scenario, be like, snitches get stitches. There is an option where I can say, you guys have grown up long enough now to where you can use your words, and you need to go let them know, how to that they took your toy and that they broke the rule, and you can work it out yourselves. I don't like applying just snitches get stitches as a general.
I think the problem oftentimes with tattling is it's not just the person informing that a rule has been broken. It's the person looking for punitive punishment on the other, right? So I can't take care of this myself, or I don't want to, but what I can do is go get you and super busted. And
Yeah.
then this idea of looking to bigger authority to lay down the law, I think goes real bad. Obviously Karens, uh, people, calling the cops on tiny infractions of others. It's not handling your own business, in general, simple terms. It's looking for authority to bust somebody. And that's what gets you happy is
I think
lame.
you're right. That is part of it for sure. I think that as the parent, there's a learning opportunity in that moment to where you can elevate everybody's kind of communication skills and way to manage, conflict resolution and all that sort of stuff that is way more beneficial than just being like, snitches get stitches, go figure
Yeah.
it out, And like
Yep.
I said, applying the mafia uh credo or the jailhouse credo is also just like, don't say gay. Like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna, don't use that term anymore. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
I hear you.
Um, okay, this one came from a listener. Barrel or not, Veneers. I'm super bummed out because I just saw an interview today with Jason Schwartzman, who I generally love, and he clearly got upper veneers. Lips don't close anymore. Super bummed. That said, my teeth suck, and I've always thought about improvements.
No, I am so no barrel on veneers. I'm sure there's a version of veneer that is so good and expensive that nobody sees that you have veneers. But the big, shiny white, plastic mouth is just never a good look. Never, ever. It makes everyone who gets it done look worse, even if their teeth were awful.
This has been my only gripe about Walton Goggins.
Yeah, those veneers.
It's like I liked him a lot before, and then I loved him in White Lotus. I love seeing him get his, whatever shine that he's been getting for the last couple of months. And then I see those veneers. I'm
It's
like,
like,
bro,
why'd you
just
do that,
back
man?
off a little bit.
Yeah, you don't need that. I don't need your horse mouth in my face. Like your clean, new, fancy horse mouth.
Veneers are no good. It's the same thing as when somebody dyes their hair, maybe from like a grocery store box dye or something, where it's like all the same color. It's just jet black. It's like, it's not natural. There needs to be a little variation in there. It's too perfect, you know?
I wonder if there was the ongoing talk that there was big feud between Goggins and Amy, whatever her name is, who played his love interest on White Lotus.
Amy Lou Wood, maybe.
Something like that. But I wonder if their beef was that Goggins went and fully veneered out, and she very clearly didn't. And then he felt deep shame for being a
Oh,
little wimp and not taking what nature gave him and running with it. It's such a better look. And note to all selves out there, owning what nature gave you is superior 99% of the time to trying to fix it.
totally agree. Amy Lou Wood is 31, by the way.
Perfect. She's a little too old to date Griff.
Oh, so that's the other follow-up with Griff, since we're it always comes back to Griff. People email me this periodically. I don't know why I can never remember it in the moment, but there is a equation that you can apply to dating younger people.
Oh, what is it?
In terms of what's appropriate, it is half your age plus 7.
Half your age plus 7. Okay, so but again though,
No,
I
so it
hear
does. So Griff falls outside of that because Griff is 26, which means half his age is 13 plus 7 means 20 is appropriate, and that girl's 18, so it's not appropriate.
sorry about it, Griff.
And so if you're 40, 27 would be the appropriate age.
Okay.
If you're 50, 32 would be the appropriate age. If you're 80,
Like the appropriate,
47 would be
the bottom, the minimum standard.
the bottom tier. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, it doesn't mean you should date somebody half your age
No,
plus
but
7.
that's the lowest you can go.
That would be appropriate.
I love it.
Yeah.
Half plus 7.
Yep.
Whoever came up with that was a genius.
I mean, we were almost going to land there. We've talked about it so much. We would have
Yeah.
eventually gotten to that equation. Okay, final barrel or nod just came in from a listener. Blowing a kiss to somebody that you're attracted to. I've been divorced for 5 years and I'm thinking about dating again. Internet seems to think it's acceptable, but could be interpreted as creepy. Great shows. Enjoy the East Coast, JJ.
I'd say it's barrel, but I'm also going to say practice. I'm going to say don't go out cold. Practice in your mirror. There's a multiple different ways to blow a kiss, right? You can kind of keep your hand there long. You can do a real theatrical. You can do what Elon Musk did and give a Heil Hitler when you grab your heart. There's a lot of different ways.
You could do it with no hand. You could just give them like a puckered up.
That's a weird one. I feel
It is weird.
The no. I think you got to do hand, but I think your two versions are you kind of keep your hand up, or you. It's
You're
rough,
not even
but
doing the blow part.
yeah, you're just doing it. You're just giving a little kiss though.
So you're giving the kiss, but you're never doing the blow. Because the blow is put the kiss on your finger and then blow it. And then it flutters to them.
Exactly. But the very animated blow, I think it's hard to make that look good on a dude. Like you're
It's hard to
looking,
make any of it look good.
it is, but I feel there's a way to do like a Frank Sinatra-y version of something, right? Of kind of like, I don't know, anytime you're looking juvenile, is steer clear of that. And it's really hard to make the blown kiss. But I feel I've seen him in movies and stuff. I feel I've seen the dude blown kiss that looked, oh, look at that. Look at that tough guy romantic.
It may be similar to some of your other methodologies where you go all in. It's like it's followed by a wink. It's like a look back over the shoulder, like,
Yeah.
and then a wink or something like that. I could see Tom Cruise pulling it off, Brad
But
Pitt
you
maybe.
got to commit to it and not, again, most importantly, not ironically. Everything, if you're throwing ironic blown kisses out there, that new relationship is already doomed.
Would you ever do it to your wife, or have you done it to your wife?
I don't think so.
I think I've been in the scenario where we're parting ways and you're already like in motion the opposite, like always parting ways we will kiss. If we're leaving the house or whatever, we'll always give an actual physical kiss. But in this scenario, maybe we're parting ways and we're already like in motion the opposite direction. I've got my hands full of stuff, she's got Austin in her arms, and so you just look back and you're like okay, that's our kiss for today because we're going these ways, like that's the only time I can imagine doing it.
I feel like I've blown one before to the wife and cannot remember it, which is a good sign. You shouldn't be remembering your blown kiss. Like it should be a natural impulse in the moment that you don't revisit and think, what I look like a kook, or wow, that was a pretty smooth move that I made.
Well, what's interesting to me about JJ is he's considering getting back into dating, and this is in his initial thoughts.
But is JJ though thinking about blowing kisses to get dates?
I know, that's what I'm
seeing
wondering.
I'm seeing a cute girl across the bar, and I'm gonna blow her a little kiss.
But first, I'm going to research it on the internet, and the internet says that it's acceptable.
But I'm wondering though, if you're sitting at a bar, if you're JJ at a bar, and you see an attractive woman across the bar, and you blow her a kiss, I think that's could be a good move.
This is exactly what he's asking us.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, that's exactly
Yes.
what he's asking
Because
us.
he's not asking about I'm getting a date and we're wishing each other goodbye and I blow her a kiss.
Definitely not that.
Yeah, he's blowing a kiss across the bar.
He's doing this to like break the ice.
Yeah.
Break the ice with a blown kiss?
You got it. I'm gonna say
Baller move.
Baller, but the whole package has to add up to it. That is a baller move. So you better be ready to go. And by go, I mean you better have like your game dialed at that point when you're blowing kisses.
That proves that this is a Kook and Curren. This proves that your game is dialed. This is like you catch a passing glance from a beautiful woman at the bar. You're sitting over here, you're drinking your martini, she's over there, and you're like, oh, she's single, I'm single, we're kind of the same age, she's attractive, and then you notice she's looking at you, and you're like, okay, what's the next move here?
Blow her a kiss.
If I walk up and I say something, like, how do I open? Do I say, what's your name? Like, how do I even start? No, the ultimate baller move is you made one level of eye contact. The next time she looks up, blow her a kiss.
Blow a kiss.
Boom. And the reason why it's the baller move is because if you misread the room, she's offended, you never have to talk to her. She'll just get up and leave, or she'll like look disgusted at you. You know, you're put in your place, you back off at that point, but there's never a word exchanged.
No foul. So you don't even feel bad about yourself.
No foul. And if she's in, well, then now she's fully in because she was interested in you, and then you just made her feel really special because nobody's ever done that before.
Barrel.
Blow a kiss to a woman you're attracted to.
Big old barrel. Good job, JJ. Wait, you came to the right place. JJ, I expect a reportage back on how the blown kisses work around the room.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah.
Let us know. And for the sake of all other people who may be dating in the future or are currently dating, let us know from the trenches.
Thank you.
Also, 5 years is enough, JJ. I don't know the situation. Get back out there.
Yeah, JJ. Well, was JJ wondering if he could?
He just said, I'm starting to think about dating again. So
get back out there, JJ.
Get back out there. You have our full support. I believe I met JJ at our live show at the Belly Up because I've emailed with him a ton, and then he came up and said hi, and I was like, dude, great to meet you. He's given us lots of great content over the years.
Thanks, JJ.
So I'm glad to hear you're getting back out there, JJ. All right, well, hey, great show, Chaz.
Just can't wait to get on to another show.
Didn't I tell you today? I told you I was excited in prepping today's show from all the great content people are giving us.
I mean, I could see exactly why.
Yeah, exactly. So the bonus show is even better. Unfiltered bonus show. Come and get it over on Patreon. Just search Extra Fine Grit, or I also put the links in my Instagram bio at Surf Splendor. You can grab them there, or go to surfsplendorpodcast.com and link from the support tab, and you can find it there.
Can you tease what the Patreon subject matter is going to be?
People falling down.
Yes. Everybody's favorite.
Adults falling down comes back to life.
Great.
And regarding the new species of Val, too, we got feedback on that, too. So we will go and do that now over on Patreon, and then we'll be back here next week on The Grid.